Welcome back to the Football Hub podcast where we talk about everything football and everything there is to talk about football basically. On today's episode, we're still going to talk about international games and most especially the Super Eagles and Nigeria played out a 4-0 win versus Benin Republic in the last round of games of the CAF qualifiers for the World Cup and um to our surprise, the Super Eagles turned up today, defeated Benin 4-0 and secured a spot in the African playoffs before they go to the Intercontinental playoffs. Yeah, I'm going to go into the game today. 4-0, comfortable win, and this was a game that nobody expected. Nobody expected its outcome. Like nobody expected Nigeria to
From the
go
way they
out
did.
there and perform the way they performed. And I was surprised because this was a game that I could see the Super Eagles playing out from the back, stringing 3 to 5 passes, being comfortable on the ball, and also getting the ball to Victor Osimhen. And I was impressed, to be honest. I was impressed, and um, this is like a step in the right direction from what I have seen today. If we can build on with this going into AFCON and also into the playoffs yet. I'm going to ask you now, like, what was your thoughts, or what do you think the Super Eagles have to do going forward with the 4-0 win we just got?
All right. First things first, we need to give them like they tried. They impressed the entire country. They had an assignment to do, and they went out there and they got the job done. They know what they needed, at least a minimum of 3 goals. They went out there and then they got the required numbers of goals. If for some reason, if South Africa had dropped points, if they had drawn to Rwanda, or if they had lost to Rwanda, the Super Eagles already had the job done in the first half. All that was needed was just 2 goals. And then coming out in the second half, when they realized that, okay, the route through qualifying as top of the group was no longer feasible, and then they understood that they probably needed more goals to put themselves in a comfortable position to participate in the playoffs. They went out there and they got 2 more goals. It was a good day for the Super Eagles. It was a good day for Nigerian football. At least there is still hope. We just have 3 or 4 more games to find ourselves. Just four more games we have to win. 4 or 3 more games we have to win, and then we'll definitely be at the 2026 FIFA World Cup.
This was a game that Victor Osimhen stamped his authority for sure, and he reminded us and the fans, especially on Twitter, that we're actually trolling him about the kind of striker he is, and it's showing the whole world that when you give the ball to him, or when you service a Victor Osimhen well as a midfielder or as a winger, he would definitely score and he would get to the result. Um, I think this was a clear indication that we needed Osimhen in a lot of the games in the qualifiers because he missed like a chunk of games. I think he missed close to 4 games to injury, and
more than first.
This was an evidence of why we need somebody like an Osimhen. Yeah.
I think he missed more games, and as it is a beautiful thing to have Victor Osimhen in the team. Whenever Victor Osimhen is fit, the team just looks 10 times better. When Victor Osimhen is on the pitch, the team looks more threatening, more organized. You just see that there's this zeal to pick up a win when Osimhen is on the field. But at the same time, it gives a big issue. Like moving forward to the qualifiers. Now, we all know Victor Osimhen is a very injury-prone player. November might come around now and he might not be available for selection due to injury. And then you look at the performance today and then you compare it to the performances when we have not had Victor Osimhen on the team. And then it raises a certain amount of worry. It shows that the Super Eagles is over-reliant on Victor Osimhen for goals. We don't. I think. How many goals has he scored in the qualifier so far? I think he scored against Zimbabwe at Uyo. He scored 2 or 1 against Rwanda. And then he scored 3 today. We
I think
scored.
he has 5 goals.
Yeah, he has 5 goals, and we scored. I think 14 goals throughout the entire qualifying campaign. I think we scored about 14 goals or so. And then Victor Osimhen has 5. And out of the 10 games we played, I think he played just 4 or 5. It shows we are way too reliant on Osimhen for goals, way too reliant on Osimhen for goals. And then if we do find ourselves in a situation where it's a perfect example is a game against South Africa at South Africa, where Victor Osimhen was not he was not injured. He was injured rather, and he couldn't participate in the match. And you could all see we struggled to score. We struggled to create anything moving forward. We had no attack against South Africa when we played a 1-1 draw at South Africa. It just shows, even at Uyo, when we played the 1-1 draw, it wasn't on the pitch. It's as much as it's a good thing to have a goal scorer, to have a player of Victor Osimhen's caliber on the pitch. It's also now an issue when the team is not performing, if he's not around. If he's not around, we are not scoring. If he's not around, it just seems like the entire mentality of the team is not good enough. And then you're now looking at it that what happens if we do find ourselves at the World Cup and Osimhen is not fit? What happens if when the qualifying the playoffs begins and Osimhen is not fit? Who is going to step up? You look around and you've seen so many strikers coming. Boniface, Desiree, so many has coming over the last couple of years, and as if it is not Victor Osimhen, there is nothing happening in the Super Eagles attack.
And you touched on games, like the games we have going forward. It has been confirmed that we are going to play Gabon in
Yes.
the African, or let's say CAF playoff before we can go into because in that process you have to play like a
The
semi-final,
semi-final, yeah.
which is against Gabon, and you also have to play the winner between Cameroon and I think DR Congo.
DR Congo.
Yeah,
Yes.
so you still have to play an African playoff before you get to the international stage, that's the intercontinental playoffs. Yeah, so I want to ask now, like, what how do you think we can go about getting the ticket? Because it feels like a long journey to
The
2026 World
qualification.
Cup, where we have to play a series of games. Or do you think we need to bring in more players? Because obviously, it's going to be like a steep run of games into like the playoff and intercontinental playoffs. Do you feel like we should get more players, or is there any way we can go about qualifying?
I think in the aspect of getting more players, I think for now, moving forward, as long as the core of the team is maintained, I think we are okay going forward. As long as the likes of Osimhen, Lookman, Calvin Bassey, Alex Iwobi, Ndidi, Franco Onyeka, hopefully Olaino is back fit by then, hopefully is around. I think maybe get this Uche from Crystal Palace, maybe add a couple of new set to the squad. But I think for the 11 that always goes out on the pitch, as long as we have the core set of players available, I think we are fine player wise, except from the goalkeeping aspect. Hopefully we can get a new goalkeeper before the AFCON begins. But I think when it comes to the players aspect, I think
Or I put it to you now, how is that going to be viable? Because we know for sure that Maduka Okoye is serving a suspension, and
I thought the
obviously he's
suspension
going to
period
be
is
back.
over.
Yeah, I think it's over. So do you're asking for a new goalkeeper? We have two other goalkeepers right now, but Maduka Okoye obviously is going to be back in the picture and most likely competes for that number one spot with Nwabali, which to me, I feel like it is still Nwabali's spot. I don't really feel like it is threatened at the moment. So when
Personally,
you're talking about, yeah,
sorry to cut you
How
yeah,
about
I
we
short.
hear you.
consider the options that we have for the goalkeepers aside Wabali and Maduka? What other options do we have? There's a couple of guys from the local leagues that have been invited by NHL. Do we know if any of these guys might get the nod? Um, of course, you still have to
But
ask if they are good enough
when
to play at national level also.
when you're talking about local league, yeah, like most coaches don't put that much faith into
In the local
local
league.
players. So when you want to face the reality, you obviously know that it is going to be Wabali and Maduka Okoye. Anyway, I think there's one other
Personally,
guy that plays in.
okay,
There's one other guy that plays in Israel. That's Adeleye, but I think
we'll
he's just
probably
going to
not get the
settle for
nod.
third choice going into
Yeah,
Africa.
personally,
So yeah, uh,
personally, I think, I think Maduka Okoye is a better goalkeeper than Nwabali. I honestly believe so. I think Maduka Okoye's situation is very similar to Karius at Liverpool. He made one mistake, he had one bad game, and the entirety of Nigeria crucified him. If we are being honest, heading into the African Cup of Nations in Cameroon, I think that was the
he's in
2021
Morocco actually.
African.
Was it
No, no, no,
okay?
no.
Was it the one in
Previously,
Cameroon?
yeah, the
Okay,
one in
okay.
Cameroon,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
the
the one in Cameroon.
2021 African Cup of Nations. I think before then, we all had faith in Maduka Okoye. We saw him as a long-term future for the Super Eagles. He was this young kid, comfortable. He was, I think, the number one goalkeeper in
Was
in
in
Netherlands
is
team
in
back then.
I think it was
You
in
get
played for Udinese. Was it Udinese
no that
or so?
he's playing for
Nah,
Udinese now.
I
He's playing for
I
Udinese
don't
now.
think
Yeah.
Maduka has held a number one shirt anywhere aside
No,
from
no,
his under 20 days in
no, no, no,
Germany.
no. When he was
I
the
stand to
number
be
one,
corrected though,
when he
but
was at Netherlands, he was
okay.
the number one goalkeeper for his team. Currently at Udinese, before this entire scandal of him having issues with betting and a couple of things, I think he was also the
Yeah, the
number one.
betting
He was
scandal.
also the number one goalkeeper at Udinese, and I think for you to be the number one goalkeeper at a Serie A club, which is one of like the top five leagues in the world, you have to at least you should be good enough. I think Maduka Okoye just got crucified for that goal against Tunisia, which, if we are being honest, we've seen Nwabali concede worse. We've seen Andrew Onana concede worse. We've seen Robert Sanchez concede worse. You get? I think that's why I said his situation is very similar to that of Karius in the UCL final against Madrid. He made a mistake and then he got crucified for it. Karius was never a bad goalkeeper. Karius was actually a very solid goalkeeper for Liverpool. He had one bad game and then he got crucified for it. If you are being honest, Alisson has made probably way more mistakes than Karius ever did in his Liverpool career. But Karius was just like that black sheep, and then they sent
But
him out like
you
he
can't
was this.
compare you can't compare the two of them, to be honest,
Yo,
because Alisson
I
has
really want to
done
counter
way
what
more for
Eddie is
Liverpool.
saying. I really want to counter what Eddie is saying, not just from
Okay,
the Allison standpoint, but also
okay.
from a Maduka standpoint, because I honestly don't believe Maduka Okoye is that great of a goalkeeper. No, I don't think so.
I'm not saying
And
he's that great of a goalkeeper,
this might just
but
be.
I'm telling you,
Oh
he's
yeah, a
better
second.
than
Give me a
what we
second, please. Yeah.
currently have.
I have a funny disposition to players who leave their European counterparts to come and play for Nigeria. And it might just be me. For example, players
Okay,
like Osimhen that wants to play for us. Players like Maduka. I felt like Maduka was never going to get into the German national team. He had like 5 people ahead of him. There was Neuer, Ter Stegen, there was
No,
Trapp.
I
There was a
think
whole lot
it's
of there
was
was a lot
is
of
it
people
Netherlands?
ahead of.
I
Was
think it's
Netherlands or
Netherlands,
Germany? I
yeah.
think it was
but I
Germany.
think
Netherlands,
Even
Netherlands.
at Netherlands, it wasn't going to get a crack, right? And I felt
but
like
wait, but in
coming back to
Yeah,
Nigeria,
comparison,
is a safe
In
it's a safe
comparison,
haven for
but in
many of these
comparison to
players.
most of
And
these players, I think
goalkeepers still
Maduka
make injuries.
committed
Goalkeepers
himself
make
to the Super
injuries.
Eagles
Yeah.
very early.
Yes.
Yes,
I think
he did not wait till he's 27 or 26. He
he had
committed to his
both
position very early.
yeah, I get you. I'm
You get
saying Maduka had a couple of good games and he had games that wasn't so great. So, and I think we're getting over the whole he had a few good games. Every goalkeeper makes mistakes, right?
Okay.
You mentioned Sanchez, you mentioned
Onana.
Sorry, you mentioned Onana. And those two people, when you make examples and use Sanchez and Onana, it means you've owned the points, really. But Nwabali has his own mistakes, has his own shortcomings. But I think Nwabali has provided some level of stability at within the six
Nwabali
force
has
that we did
way
not
more
have. People with
shortcomings than he has had good moments.
What's his name? Uzoho and the other guy. And we do say Nwabali is not great with his feet. Everybody knows that Maduka is a better
Even in the last couple of games, he has showed us he's not great with his hands either.
We could say the same thing for Sanchez. Doesn't mean he doesn't stop shots. We could say the same for Onana. He's doing great things in Besiktas now. So my point is this, yeah.
Okay.
Why Nwabali has had a rough patch where things are not looking so great. I don't think Maduka offers so much of an alternative to Nwabali. I don't see Maduka as such a better alternative to Nwabali. I think they are the same. If Nwabali was the goalkeeper for Udinese, I think he'll probably start too. Because I will not use somebody starts at Udinese as a yardstick. Ekong was starting for Watford or starting for Udinese. And let us be honest with ourselves. Ekong is there, he's just there. But I'm just glad that his yellow partner in prime, Leon Balogun, was found out on time before him. We've been managing the young man since then.
Can I counter you? Can I counter you for a minute? Johnny, please give me a minute. When Maduka Okoye was the number one goalkeeper of Nigeria, excluding the goal against Tunisia that we all know he could have probably done better. He could have done better. How many times did you ever, on that Maduka's period as Nigeria's number one, how many times did you go into a match and you are always saying stuff like and the way we always like Nwabali, be careful, or this you get over the way we've been doing over the last couple of months? How many times were they complained about Maduka's Okoye, maybe his aerial control, his calmness in the pitch, his calmness on the ball? How many times did we see Maduka Okoye put us in a position where we are going into a match and everybody's like, hopefully Nwabali doesn't do something stupid? How many times were there comments like, hopefully Maduka Okoye doesn't do something stupid?
Not as much as for Nwabali, I will tell you. And why? Because of these last 3 games. Nwabali's first 5 games with the Super Eagles, we didn't get any of these comments. Same way we didn't get any of these comments in Maduka's
Nwabali's first 5 games
always start out great.
Nwabali's first 5 games
for the Eagles.
I think Nwabali's first 5 games in the Super Eagles. Excuse me, sorry. I think Nwabali's first 5 games in the Super Eagles were at the AFCON. And if we remember very well, at the AFCON, Peseiro played a more defensive kind of football, where Nwabali had more defensive coverage. Immediately after Peseiro left, and then Finidi George and the likes of them did not stick to that same pattern of defend and counter. And Nwabali started having more aerial balls thrown at him, started having more shots taken towards him. Nwabali has considered, is it 18 or 19 goals in his last 12 appearances for the Super Eagles. And in those 18 or 19 games, we've played Zimbabwe, Lesotho. It's not like we've gone up against great teams. The goal against Zimbabwe, he could have stopped it. The goal against Lesotho was unnecessary. The goal against Benin at Ivory Coast. Do you know how many mistakes, how many points? If I should go back and check how many goals during this entire World Cup qualifying process that Nwabali has let in that were totally unnecessary. You can go back and watch like an highlight reel of all our games from the beginning of the World Cup campaign, and then you check how many times did Nwabali make himself look completely stupid.
I think we're going to move from the whole Nwabali thing again because we still have a playoff, obviously, to play against Gabon, and that fixture is going to come in November. That's next month. Then I think
is it confirmed Gabon Cameroon?
Playoff.
I think it's
No.
Gabon.
It's Gabon, Nigeria,
No,
Cameroon,
it's not.
DRC.
I don't think it's
As
confirmed yet. I think it is after the next FIFA ranking comes out, and then they would,
After the last
it's
game, after the ranking, I
after the
think,
next
yeah.
FIFA
it's
ranking, when the next
confirmed.
FIFA ranking, it's confirmed.
It's confirmed
But
already
come to
out
think,
there.
I wouldn't want to play Gabon also. Have you seen the amount of points they've been raking in? Those guys are on a good rate of form currently. I think they have 17 points already also.
So we're going to go over the playoff thing. Then maybe we go into predictions
Yeah.
for the games in the weekend. So I want you guys to touch on the playoffs shortly before we move into club football. Yeah.
All right. So about the playoffs, we just have 3 or 4 games. If everything remains the same the way it is now, if we do not drop any lower down, we are currently on the FIFA ranking. We have just 3 games to play. If we do for some reason drop lower than, I don't even think we can drop lower than it is now, because when you look at the caliber of teams that are remaining in these playoffs, not only in Africa, in Asia, and then CONCACAF as well, when you look at the caliber of teams, you do not expect us to drop so low that we will now be lower than most of those teams. So I think we have just 3 games to play. And then when you look at the caliber of teams from every of the remaining continents left, no disrespect to the teams from Asia, but then you see Saudi Arabia, Qatar, UAE, Iran, Oman, Lebanon, I think Indonesia. Then you go to CONCACAF, and they are seeing Haiti and the rest. I think on paper, if the Super Eagles get their game plan right, if the Super Eagles play the way they should play the way that they show the level of players they have on their team. Because tomorrow now they can go and play against Gabon and play like this, the home base Eagles. It is not hard for them to do if they play to the level at which we know they can play. Because we have really good players in our team. If we play to the level I know they can play, we should be picking one of the 2 tickets available to what do you call it? Available to the World Cup. Because on paper we should be a better team than Gabon, DR Congo, Cameroon. If you go to Asia, on paper we should be a better team than the rest of the countries left in their qualification process as well. The only team I see as a bit of a problem will probably be Saudi Arabia, and I still think we should be edging out Saudi Arabia. And then you go to CONCACAF and then look at that entire the list of people that could probably be involved in that intercontinental playoff, and I still feel we should pick one of the 2 available tickets to the World Cup.
So Andrew,
Interesting.
the playoffs.
I actually agree with Eddie. For me, I feel like for the Super Eagles, our toughest opponent for me is Cameroon. And I say that with no iota of disrespect to any of the other teams. And like Eddie said, we have no business losing to any of these teams because look at it. The top guns from other continents have qualified. So
Exactly.
we're basically left with second tier, third tier teams in the rest of this. And we should be beating these people easily. On paper, like we said, on paper, we are easily one of the best teams in the playoffs. On paper, across the continent. We should carry that should carry the tenacity with which the game was played today. We should carry it into every game. I think if we play like this in every game, we will not be in the playoffs. We would have qualified, right?
So
While the game was on,
Yes.
somebody was asking me something, and he said, "Where was this energy the whole time?" I said, "Okay, Osimhen was injured." He said, "Okay, so without Osimhen, we're not going to play football."
The
Am I
thing
saying
is,
the country of
so
200 million people cannot produce another striker other than Osimhen, other than the influencer guy, Boniface? So when we look at it, we have options, we have talent. I'm serious. We have talent. We have Terry Murphy that's not even played much for the Super Eagles yet. We have what's this guy that got injured? Silo Disas. We have Paul Onachu that didn't even make the list. So and that is me just saying we have options, not calling the popular ones like Osimhen, and the like. So I believe with a line up of Paul Onachu and Tolu Arokodare and Moses Simon, we should be able to strike fear into any defense in Africa. And I'm not mentioning African best. I'm not mentioning Victor Osimhen. That is just to say that we have this quality in the squad. How is it not showing on the pitch? Or how is it showing on the pitch when it's only at times like this, when we don't have mathematical calculations and permutations to see what can happen, and we are leave it at the near-death experiences? Why is this not showing up fervently in our other games? So I think we need to do better as a team, as a federation. They need to put out their best foot. And like I said, if we perform like this again in the next games, I think this performance is going to put Cameroon down. I think this performance is going to put Gabon down. The Gabon team only have wonderful attackers. The defense is not so great. The midfield is not so great. But the attack is very, very interesting. They are very fast pacing forwards, and they can kill you on the counter attack. For the Burkina, I don't know if it's Burkina Faso or Congo. I think it's one of both that
It's
might
Congo.
make it into the final of the four. It's Congo.
It's
Yeah,
Congo.
so even
DRC.
Congo has a very, very interesting attacking threat team too, but not so great
And they
in
have
the
a
back.
good
So I feel like
defense. So
so I feel like we can overcome these teams. On the good day, if the boys put out a good performance, I don't think we're going to have a problem getting across these teams. And like I said, I feel like our biggest competition, our toughest competition, is here in Africa with the likes of Cameroon and DR Congo and then. But for me, specifically Cameroon, the teams from Oshonia, no disrespect to them, but I really do not think they should be lacing Osimhen's boots for crying out loud. Come on. These people are going to probably come and play this game because they want to come and swap shirts with Osimhen. So we need to give it our best, and definitely hopefully we'll see the green and white of Nigeria at the World Cup and not the Saudis, because let us not forget the Saudis with Argentina. We are still having that problem. But yeah, I really believe that the Super Eagles should need to get
hopefully
to the World Cup.
hopefully we qualify for the next World Cup. I know it's going to be stressful. It's going to be a very tough journey, but hopefully we get there. So games coming up this weekend in the Premier League, and I know both of you are Chelsea fans, and I wish I had the Arsenal
this way we
fan
push Shekere.
here. So yeah, I wish I had like the Arsenal fan, the Madrid fan today, but I think we're just going to face Chelsea, and they have a game on Saturday, early kickoff. I mean, I always have this early kickoff phobia. So it's Nottingham Forest versus Chelsea. Chelsea are going away, and Forest are like at home. So with the form they had against Liverpool, which everyone was surprised that we could play out Liverpool off the park. Do you see Nottingham trying to get back to form to upset Chelsea, or Chelsea going on with that momentum they had like in the Liverpool game to subsequent fixtures and all of that?
I think both teams need this game. Nottingham Forest, from the fact that they've had back-to-back losses. I don't think they've won any game under the new manager.
I think it's even under threat of being sacked.
It's under real fire. So I know he will be looking to get the points, even if he's not going to get the win. Looking to get points off Chelsea in this game. The team was going to look to rally around the manager. I know they've had a couple of injuries also, but I think that the Nottingham Forest team has enough in the squad to cause an upset at home to Chelsea. But also, we also need to consider the fact that there's the inconsistency with the Chelsea side. Chelsea under Enzo Maresca has been topsy-turvy. You know, this week they give you the best football in the world. Next week you are wondering where these guys are coming out from. You know, it makes you wonder who picked these guys, who scouted like these guys.
Yeah.
And that inconsistency has been the major issue for the Chelsea side. If we see Chelsea side produce the performance that they did against Liverpool, I think that with the performance like that, if you have performance like that every week for 38 weeks of the game weeks, I think you are going to be a contender. Even if you don't win it, I think you are going to be a contender for the Premier League. And with the players that Chelsea have rested, I think a lot of Chelsea players stayed back for the international break. Players like James, like
Yeah,
João
a lot of
Pedro.
them are going to
So I
be
think
back fit.
I said as well.
a lot of them are going to be back fit. I said also, I think I said had the red card and all. But then
Yeah.
the point is the camp did not see an exodus of player like in previous breaks, and it just helps to keep them together this period. There's more rest, there's more cohesion. I expect to see more of Romulavia in the team now that he has integrated back after an injury. So
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be. It's going to be supposed to be. It's one of those games where you say you expect a routine win from Chelsea, but I do believe Nottingham Forest have enough in their tank to cause an upset on that day. If I'm to give a prediction, I'll say maybe a 2-2 draw or a 2-1 victory to Chelsea. Simply because I feel like Nottingham Forest players, they've also had a lot of players stay back in camp too, and they've rested. They've had time to work their strategies. They've had time to watch how this Chelsea team plays. And like we all know, it's easy to figure out the way the Chelsea team plays under Maresca. You know, if you shut out his flanks, he's going to he has no choice than to come in from the middle with his inverting fullbacks and whoever is playing the 10. And for many teams, they just know shut out that central powerhouse, shut out the runners, and then you don't see anything from Chelsea. I'm hoping to see a permanent Chelsea have a wonderful game, just like they did against Liverpool. And I think
Liverpool.
if they can bring out that performance again, then sure, they should get all 3 points at Forest come the weekend.
Eddie, what do you think? Well, how are you optimistic going into the early kickoff?
Well, I hate the international break for one major reason. This it disrupts the rhythm of the team. If we were playing Nottingham Forest immediately,
Yo,
if we were playing Nottingham Forest immediately after that Liverpool game, and I'm so confident I would go there and probably win by 4 or 5. But then the international break
we
has a
want
way of
Benin Republic them.
exactly. But then the international break has a way of disrupting the flow, the rhythm, and everything. And then you're going away to Nottingham Forest, a team that is desperate for points. Yeah, they are desperate for points. They would try as much as possible because Ange's job is probably on the line at this point. If he probably loses to
Yeah,
Chelsea, if he loses to Chelsea, he might just get the start. I think they might they might pick out a draw. I'm not so confident of a win. I hope we win, but I see the game as probably a low scoring game. If we were to win, probably not more than a goal difference, maybe a 1-0 or a 2-1 kind of thing. Or at the same time, Nottingham Forest would find a way to grind out the draw. Because I think they are currently at that position where they would do anything for a point. Do you get me? And I despise 12:30 kickoffs. I hate early kickoffs so much. I despise early kickoffs a lot. But moving into the game, I hope for the best. I hope for the best. I hope we can win. If there's just one, the goal is fine by me. The goal is fine by me. I just hope we don't do the same thing over and over again because we obviously know Nottingham Forest is probably going to sit back and then we spend 25 minutes playing around and we concede. And it's at that point you start wanting to play better and look for a goal and so to get to a point where it's too late. And I just hope we don't have to watch the entire routine all over again for 90 minutes. I just pray from the start of the game, they chase the game with full intensity, get the goal, then you can relax a bit, then you can move forward for more.
I hear you. I hear you, and we look forward to that game. And before we close out on the podcast, like this episode, there's a big game coming up on Sunday. Would I say a big game? The Super Sunday fixture between Liverpool, going on a 3-game losing streak versus a Manchester United that have found a lifeline against Sunderland. under Ruben Amorim. What
How
do you
is that
guys
a
think
big
about that
game?
game on Sunday?
10 years ago, that was a Super Sunday fixture. Not this Sunday. It's Manchester United. They are what? They just lost to who? Barrow. I don't think a Liverpool Manchester United game carries as much fervency as it used to anymore. We've seen
maybe
Salah
not
wipe these
here.
guys over and over. So, but now, yeah, over there in England, of course, historical, all of
Yes,
that.
exactly. It will
But for the
still always
fans
be a
outside of
big game.
England, come on, come on,
We
come
kind
on,
of we
come on.
understand.
Nah,
But I
man.
feel if there's any time
You should
for
pack
Man
this
U to
up. You should
try,
pack this up.
if I think this week the game on Sunday is probably Man U's best opportunity to, like, where they are going into a game against Liverpool with a bit of hope that, okay, I feel we could win based on the way Liverpool has been playing this season, their run of form. I think this is the first time in a long time where we are seeing a Man U Liverpool game and then we feel like, oh, okay, maybe Man U might be able to get the 3 points. I don't think we've been in that situation for a couple of seasons now. I think for the first time we are seeing something where if Man U gets it right, they could win at Anfield. It is very, very possible. Liverpool have not looked as threatening, as commanding, as assertive as they used to be last season. They look the shaky side. I think a lot of their games this season, they've survived with a late minute goal, a last minute goal, last minute equalizer, Chiesa doing the Chiesa thing. Even down to the game, the League Cup against Southampton, they still needed the last minute goal. That team has not
Yeah,
been
yeah.
at its
A late goal.
the late winner. Yeah, the team has not been at its best. I think if Ruben Amorim picks his team right, if the team plays properly, they could just pull up an upset against Liverpool.
Come to the end of the episode of the pod. So much about Super Eagles, so much about the playoffs and everything that we have to do to get to the World Cup. And
Yeah,
hopefully we get there as
hopefully,
Nigerians that we
hopefully.
hope. We always hope and hope and hope and hope. Yeah. So we'll be back on Sunday to review the weekend games and other stuff in football. So catch you guys later, man.